are things like you could read into the types of the health problems or the areas of the body
Yeah.
or something even. Yeah. Okay, very
Yeah,
cool.
definitely. Yeah.
So, all right, so do you want to like show some examples and stuff through
Yeah.
PDF?
Yeah. Okay. I love this chart. This is such a great chart to give an
All right, I
example.
see it.
Well, all of them are, but this is just so awesome. It shows it so clearly. Um, okay, so this is Serena Williams.
All right.
This is the year she won Wimbledon, and she got ranked #1. She beat her sister Venus. She
Okay.
she made a huge jump,
Okay.
okay, in her career and her status. So this year, she has Mars exalted in the ascendant and in the montha.
Oh,
Okay.
right.
And her ascendant Lord is in the 6th house of beating your enemies.
Ah, okay, gotcha. The sixth house of enemies. Yeah.
Yeah. And so,
Exalted
and those
Mars, yeah.
competitors, all of our competitors are considered our enemies. Even people at work, our coworkers, if we're competing for, a promotion, that's going to be 6th house stuff. It's a
Wait, did you
competition.
say Mars was the year lord in this or no?
Yes, Mars is the year Lord.
Okay, right. So I read it somewhere in your PDF earlier today, I believe, that it said if Mars is strong, one defeats their enemies. And then if
Yes.
Mars is weak, one gets overrun by enemies. And that's just a general truth of astrology too, you guys, right? I mean, like the stronger,
Right.
I didn't know that for so long, but the stronger your Mars is, it doesn't mean like you have stronger enemies. It means you deal with enemies better. And you actually end up having less people threaten you usually. And then a weaker Mars is kind of always, just a little insect is like an enemy to someone like that. So, okay.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly. And the fun thing is, okay, she's got it exalted in the ascendant. So that's going to give her extremely strong athletic prowess, right?
Right.
But the interesting thing here is whenever you have the montha in the ascendant, and I'm talking about the Varshaphala ascendant,
Mm-hmm.
whenever the montha falls in the Varshaphala ascendant, the person changes their life in some way, that their status changes, the way the
Okay.
world sees them changes, because it's the
Yeah.
ascendant. There's some
Yeah.
change. It's like an 8th house thing. It's almost like an 8th house thing. So that's exactly what happened. She changed her status. She went to the #1 tennis player in the world.
Yeah.
So that always happens when you have the montha in the Varshaphala ascendant, which is a good little rule to know.
And tennis is such a sport of the arms, so it's kind of cool that Mars rules the arms and is the year lord, and then Saturn is in the sign of arms, like Gemini.
Right, Gemini, exactly.
That's kind of
Exactly, totally. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so this is an interesting one too. It's Steve Jobs.
right.
This
Okay.
this is the year he went from being like a millionaire to a mega millionaire. Not quite a billionaire, but he's 24 years old. He goes from 1 million to 250 million. That's what he was worth.
Wow.
Okay. Jupiter is the year Lord.
Gotcha. Okay.
Jupiter's the year Lord, and
Expansion.
the montha is Virgo.
Oh, and it's in the second house of money.
Yeah, it's in the 2nd house of worth and value and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh, wow.
But see that Jupiter is really strong, and you would think that Saturn and Rahu in the montha is going to be detrimental, but that's not true. The reason is whenever you have the montha Lord, this is another really cool rule. This is another little trick that you can do, just like with the other stuff I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It's really important that you do this or you will miss something again. When you have, okay, so you've got the montha, and the montha, all it is, it's the progressed ascendant. So it's always the same degree every year. It's the degree of your ascendant, just in a different sign.
Right.
So if you have the montha Lord aspecting the montha, So in this case, Mercury is directly aspecting the mantha.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
That's going to be a really important, strong year. That's
Right.
going to be.
I remember learning that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and it's going to have a lot to say about how well the year goes and what will happen during the year, even if nothing else. Okay, even if there is nothing else pointing in that direction, but you have a strong aspect, and this is over 40 points, aspecting to over 40 points of that mantha lord, aspecting that mantha, that is really going to produce something. So
that there's something, your highlighted planet of that year is doing something with its zone. It's going to make something will happen, I guess is the idea.
Right, exactly. And Steve Jobs was business. He was an entrepreneur, that's what he's known for.
And the Saturn Rahu might indicate the technology or the internet and this new pioneering technology.
Technology. Yep.
Okay, very cool. And
I just want to point out, though, I didn't write it in the PDF. You can't see it there. Steve Jobs, during this year, Mercury is the strongest planet aspecting the mantha. It's aspecting the mantha to 52 points.
Okay. Yeah. So that matters. The planet, the strongest aspect to the mantha matters. Okay.
Very much. Very, very much. Even if there's nothing else, if the mantha lord is aspecting that mantha, that's going to be a good year.
Okay.
In this case, Mercury is the planet of manifestation. So it was aspecting that second house of wealth, and boom, it manifested all of this wealth for him.
And Mercury also deals with like Rahu and Virgo and Mercury. We could see that relating to computers and technology and communications and information, making money through information stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's really easy to see. You have to look at those things. You've got to look at that. People often forget about that, but you really have to look at that to see that, the aspects to the mantha. And then also you have to look at that chart from that natal ascendant. That's also really important. Sometimes people forget that. So
okay. That's pretty cool. Yeah, those are tips. So wait, do you know Steve Jobs' ascendant? I think it's Pisces maybe, but I can't remember.
He is he's a Virgo. He's a Virgo.
Oh yeah. Okay, that probably makes more sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's a Pisces sun. So
okay. So then so like we need to read his chart and know the promise of what his chart says, and then we wouldn't be so scared when we see maybe the Rahu and Saturn in the second, because we can see a lot of probably strong wealth yogas in Steve Jobs' chart if we looked at it more, and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Okay. He's got his all his angle lords in Artha houses. So, he's got Mercury, which is his first and 10th lord, in the 6th, and Jupiter in the 11th. Exalted. So
right, yeah.
Yeah, so he's concentrating on building wealth. It's a wealth lifetime for him, or it was. So so you could be able to see that for sure.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that Princess Diana example, I think. Sorry, what's the next example you want to do?
Oh yeah, let's do Princess Diana.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so there's certain places, can you see this?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's certain places where the mantha falls that year, which will cause some stress. And it's not always, they say the 8th is the worst, but that's not always the case, because if the mantha, wherever the mantha is, that's going to be a focus of life, and it can cause some stress. But the more important things are to see how strong that your lord is, if the lord of the mantha is aspecting the mantha. Otherwise, if you have some good yogas, that will completely override whatever stress The 8th house will bring, or the 12th house.
Okay.
But in this chart, that wasn't the case. So they say, okay, the month is in the 4th house. For Princess Diana, age 35. This is the year she finally had her divorce finalized. And she had a couple of her titles taken away.
Oh, okay.
And there was just so much controversy.
But this was not the year that she died or anything in that.
No, I put that in here though too.
Okay,
I think,
cool. All right, I was just curious because that's like, yeah. Anyways, keep going.
But and so this was a stressful year for her. And it actually says in Nilakanthi, it says that if the mantha is in the 4th house, the person becomes a subject of controversy.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. She became a subject of controversy. It was a huge deal then, to get a divorce.
I would wonder why. Oh yeah, I see it right there on the 4th house. I wouldn't think of the 4th house as causing that to happen,
Yeah, there it is. See?
Ill health.
And that's exactly what happened to her. So, another thing, and another little, rule is that when the mantha is the 4th house, sometimes the person, a lot of the times, I would say 80% of the time, the person moves.
Okay, gotcha. That makes sense.
If they don't move, they change something in their home. They do renovations or whatever. But that's why it's a stressful place for the mantha to be, the 4th house. Gotcha. And you wouldn't think so because it's an angle, but it is.
Oh, okay. Well, then I guess in that sense, I can see it because it's like your 4th house is like the thing that makes you happy and what you like. So you don't really want any change going on there. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, so that mantha can show that there's a highlight of activity there, which could generally mean a lot of shakeups maybe or something. Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. We have a lot of examples in here.
Yeah, this is a 6th house mantha. And I didn't write it in here, but it is. This is 6th house mantha. And this is, she almost died from pneumonia. This is Elizabeth Taylor. She had really bad health issues anyway. She was always sick. There was always something going on with her. But this is, the mantha is,
kind of rough.
The mantha is the 6th house, and that you are going to have health problems if the mantha
debilitated Mars and debilitated Jupiter. So it's like a low year, kind of like, and that makes sense because then if it's like your birthday is that time, well, that year you're going to have that debilitated Jupiter that year. So it's a lower year for a lot of people. So it makes sense for your karma to trigger stuff that year. And I can see how that works.
Yeah, she had her ascendant is ruled by Jupiter for this year. She has a Sag ascendant, and it's debilitated with Saturn. So, her body.
Tracheotomy. What is that?
When they cut here so you can breathe.
Yeah, the 2nd house is the throat, right? That's why I thought of that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. And Taurus is the throat, and Taurus is the mantha.
Ah, yeah. Huh.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That completely adds up.
Yeah, that's wow, interesting.
And what was I going to say? There's something else. Okay. So this is another big question I get from people is, well, what about if I move? What about if I go somewhere else? Well, will that change it? Because my ascendant will be somewhere else. And that's why I tell people never do it for where you live. Always do it for where you were born. Okay. Always do the calculate that chart for your birthplace.
I was under the impression that's how everyone did it, but is there other systems that do it differently?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, there are. Some people want to calculate from where they live currently, and I do not recommend that at all, because all you would have to do is move somewhere, and your karma is going to completely change. Yeah, that almost implies that like karma isn't karma. It's just, you're just a loser because you didn't leave your hometown or something like, or like that would almost imply that, because then, your karma is entwined in you moving as well. So yeah, I don't know. Okay. I see what you mean. But you can't do that. You just can't change your karma and go move somewhere.
Yeah.
like everything's going to completely change. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, that's like an escapist kind of idea, I guess.
Yeah, and it will change your mindset. You know, there's that whole relocation astrology, and I do think that helps, you know, going to a different place, and maybe that'll give you more inspiration, but it's not going to completely change your life. You know, it's not going to, if we're meant to go there, you're going to go there, right?
Yeah.
You know, we're
No,
going to
I
go there.
agree. I agree. And it's like, even that move would be shown in your chart too, probably on some level or something. So I don't know.
Right. Exactly. Okay. So this is another kind of stressful place for the mantha to fall in, is the 7th house.
Okay.
And when the mantha is in the 7th house, it means you're trying to change yourself for your partner. Okay. So what connects you this year to your birth chart, which is the mantha, is all centered around relationships. So you're trying to adapt yourself and change yourself for somebody else. And that is stressful. Gotcha. And it's not really that, it doesn't indicate fair weather. It's not a good place for the mantha to be. It's another kind of stressful place. Of course, you've got to weigh in everything. You've got to weigh in, you know, the year Lord and the month of Lord and all those other things. But
you can expect to see, divorce or contentious court battles when celebrities have a 7th house mantha, because they're going to be in the public eye and have a lot of, ups and downs. And
yeah, definitely. It doesn't mean, if the mantha is the 7th, it doesn't always mean you break up. It means there's going to be some stress around relationships. To see how bad it is, you have to look at everything else. Like in this chart, okay, this is the chart, Brad Pitt. They were breaking up. She wanted to take the kids away from him. She had the FBI investigate him for child abuse. Just a whole big mess, right? In this chart, the ascendant lord for him is Mars, and for her is Venus. His 7th house is ruled by Venus. They're enemies here together.
Okay, openly
inimical. They're in inimical relationship, so that they're fighting, you know. And also, whenever I see Mars and Venus together anyway, I always predict there's some contention. But yeah, this is not that great of a chart. It's, you know, for relationship issues.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. They're in that that openly enemy placement.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. And then he has K2 in the 5th. Okay, now what about the nodes? Because I know a lot of the Tajika system doesn't even really talk about the nodes, but certainly they are important. And so, what are your thoughts on using the nodes when it comes to this system?
When I use the nodes, I do use them. It shows during the year what part of life you're trying to develop, which is Rahu. Wherever Rahu is, you're trying to develop that house. So in his case, this is the 11th. And then K2, you know, you're trying to perfect it. You're moving away, you know, all those things that K2 means in the birth chart. I look at it as the same way, you know. The nodes, I don't use Rashi aspects for this. If I see a planet conjoined a node, then I read it just like I would read in the birth chart. If a planet is conjoined a node, you're trying to develop it or you're moving away from it.
Yeah, and because that is a major transit they're going to deal with that year. And so then it's almost like Varshaphala is like, okay, when we talk about, Rahu's in Cancer right now, but we can't say too much until maybe we look at your Varshaphala and see what house that's kind of relating, or what house that's falling in your Varshaphala, and then relate that to your birth chart.
Right.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
It definitely does. And then back at that Serena, when I was talking about Serena Williams, she had K2 in Capricorn with Mars, and K2 gives the effects of Mars. So it was even giving more power for Mars, that exalted Mars. So
that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the kind of thing that propels people way, you know, far. When you see all of these.
Yeah, you reminded me of that because that the one year that really, really big events happened in my life, without me really trying to, I had Capricorn and I had Mars exalted on the ascendant, and it was the year Lord, just like what Serena had. Other things were different, but I had that, and that was a year that I went from being just a random sponsored skater kid who liked all this stuff. In one year, I met someone and they told me to read autobiography of yogi and all this stuff. But I went on Good Morning America and spoke to Diane Sawyer. A lot of people don't even know this, but I was this kid that got pushed by a cop, and this was before smartphones in 2007. And we filmed it because we were filming a skate video. So we turned it into like the Post and Courier and all this stuff, and it blew up. It was like a viral video before cops were shooting people, before smartphones. Just something like this was so astonishing. So they ended up flying me to New York City. I did Good Morning America. I did Inside Edition all in a day, blah, blah, blah. The real thing is that I never really could find like enough. The transits showed it so strongly, but like dashes did not show it that strongly for how big of an event it was in my life. And it always bugged me. You could see it. You just couldn't quite see it as much as I knew it was an event in my life. But then when I looked at the Varshaphala, I was like, good Lord, it's so strong. And so that was one of the major things that really made me need to start studying this more, just so you know.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. It works so well. Works amazingly.
Yeah, we have to be objective with our charts, and be like, well, did my chart really reflect this major event in my life, And I was always a little bit kind of confused about that event.
Yep. These are just, it really shows you wherever those focuses are during the year, whatever that year Lord is, you can plan on it happening. So it's just a wonderful tool.
Yeah, definitely. So, all right, do you have any other, examples or thoughts or ideas you want to share about it?
Well, I have a ton of examples in my course.
Yeah. So you don't need to go into all of those. You can look at mine real quick if you want and look at that year.
Oh yeah, there it is.
You
were 20. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So, oh my gosh. Yeah. And Scorpio. Oh my gosh. This is so awesome. Okay. I want to share this. Is it showing it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not showing it yet. Hold on.
All right. I'm going to do this one. Here we go. All right. So.
Yeah. You can use me as an example. I don't mind.
But this shows it really well. Even.
Yeah.
Okay. So, do you see it now?
Okay. Yeah, I see it. Mars on the ascendant. Yep.
Okay, so your month is Scorpio, the 11th house of fame. Okay.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Being recognized by your peers. And then the moon is the public.
Right. And it's the seventh Lord in this chart. Yeah. So moon
and
normally
Lord. So you were really in front of the public. Right? I mean, the public came to know about you.
Yeah, and the moon is normally the planet of the public for you guys a lot. The moon can make one popular or whatever, or have to do with the pull of the masses because it pulls the tides and all that. And so the moon in the 11th, that I remember seeing that and being like, goodness, that is so astonishing. And I mean, it was a big deal and it got me really popular. And then what was weird was that popularity made me weirded out because I have K2 in the 8th and Libra and the Lord in the 11th. So it triggered all these weird little K2 issues in my life, and it got me into spirituality and made me move to the mountains and get away from like living in a city and skateboarding. But at that time I had reached my pinnacle of my athletic kind of performance of Mars, too, as well as like a skateboarder. And I'd been skating and earning the respect of these pros who I'd watched growing up my whole life in videos, and then realized, oh, it's not that cool. I want to figure out the meaning of life. Or like I kind of shifted to spiritual whatever, Corey.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's so true. You have, let's see, you've got your sun in the 8th house. Oh, the 8th house, see all those changes. Your ascendant Lord is Saturn. It's in the 8th house in this chart. So
okay.
Totally change your attitude and change your way of thinking about things. And that's what happens. I want to mention too, this is something else that I thought of, but whenever you see the month as the 8th house, or you see the year lord in the 8th house, or you see the ascendant lord in the 8th house, people kind of get scared. You know, they get a little frightened by that, but you shouldn't be, because I see a lot, your status changes in some way. Sometimes you become a mother. Sometimes you have a baby.
That's what I've noticed a lot, was like, wow, conception. Like I looked at my mother, all these people, when they had a kid that I knew of, it was the 8th house. So it's like, and that makes sense because it's a big change in your life, right?
Yeah. I mean, you're totally changing who you are.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you get married, the month is in the 8th.
Gotcha.
Sometimes when you get really famous, there's an 8th house connection there, because you're going from one state to a totally different state.
Gotcha.
Which is 8th house stuff. So that's also kind of when the montha is in the ascendant, that's also a status change in some way.
Gotcha.
But so, yeah, this is great. You know, that
Here's one more thing I just noticed, is that if the month is Scorpio, that almost shows that it was a Scorpio thing. I got pushed from behind the back by a cop over a bush while my friend was filming me skating. And so that's like I was breaking the law, but it was the cop was being a little bit breaking the law too, because she just came up from behind and pushed me. And that was the theme that the public saw me in. So that background of Scorpio, you know what I mean, kind of makes a lot of sense as well, at least for that event. And that was the time that I got obsessed with like Scorpio themes, like occult knowledge and spirituality. So then if we use all right, what other techniques? So you can use it from reading the transits, like you were saying, from my natal ascendant. So I could read it from Pisces.
Yep, you can read it from Pisces. So in this instance, again, the 11th house, because the 11th house. And then the 9th house that would be from your ascendant. That's what the month of would be, the 9th house. So
that's really lucky.
We're getting into more spiritual types of you know, you are changing your outlook on things. That's all very 9th house.
Yeah. Wow. And
then she pushed you. So I guess you were injured, or I don't know, were you, or?
I mean, not really, but like, yeah, it was just the fact that she did it, the principle. Like I was scraped up just barely. So it wasn't like an actual serious injury, but yeah, we would think that some 6th house connection is probably involved, or so just having the year Lord Mars being exalted showed that I handled my enmity really well. Like you know what I mean? Like and because of this event, the city of Charleston basically admitted that they had to build a skate park for us. So even though I'm not like the reason it's there, but I kind of like, you know what I mean? Like I had a lot to do with that. So maybe
so you influence the public quite a bit, and that's that moon in the 11th house, and then also in the 9th house from your ascendant.
And I also kind of shamed the city, and so you can see that connection of the Leo, the Saturn and Sun aspecting each other, and there sort of is that the Lord of the 8th is in the 2nd, and the Lord of the 2nd is in the 8th, and that can kind of show that. Yeah, that 8th house theme in Leo, you know, like you were just mentioning earlier.
Authorities. Because the sun is the authority. And so there's that interchange between Sun and Saturn, and they're aspecting each other. And they're they're not in Ithisala or but they're in Ithisala.
Yeah. So okay, wow. That's definitely a part of it too, the Saturn and Sun aspect there, because government, skaters are like Saturn, you know, these little, like, they're almost like the homeless, or they just like these common, you know, people just hanging out in parking lots. And then the Sun is like the king or the police and the government. And, you know, actually after that event, because I was just a 20-year-old kid, like I was skating around and a cop actually like harassed me because I was skating in front of the street, not knowing I was the kid on Good Morning America. He was like, "You guys, do you have any idea how much shame you're causing us? You're making us look so bad," and all this stuff. And he was like yelling at me, but he didn't realize I was literally the guy who was the kid on the news making them look so bad. And so there was a lot of that. There was a lot of controversy, but I luckily skirted around any serious danger because of all those lucky things.
Yeah.
And so Venus is the planet of vehicles. So Venus was exalted. So a major event dealing with vehicles is kind of kind of.
Definitely.
Is there a saham that might have to do with that, like vehicles or travel or?
Yeah, there's the horse shaham.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And that's basically vehicles, that one is Ashva.
Yeah. Okay.
That's in Virgo.
Let's see.
That's in Virgo in your ninth house.
Oh,
So that's
okay.
actually, a good position for it.
And then the Lord of that aspects, and then Venus, the planet of vehicles, is aspecting that. Now,
Yep.
I have Mercury in Pisces at like 8 degrees. So the fact that it's in Pisces in that chart, I've noticed that a lot. Like significant years for a person, they'll have not just the sun has returned, but they'll have another planet that has sort of returned to where it was in their birth chart.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You definitely, you can start looking at conjunctions between the transiting planets for that year to your natal planets. And if it's exact, that is also going to produce a theme for the year. Definitely.
Okay, cool.
So you said you kind of got into spirituality this year. Did you start reading?
Wait, say that again. Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Did you start reading?
Yeah, this was when I got into astrology, but didn't really get I didn't find Vedic. I hadn't really gotten into Vedic astrology yet, but this was the year that I got into astrology and spirituality and yoga, and then it led to that. Does that make sense?
Okay, because your auspicious Shaham, the part of fortune, for this year is in the 4th house of Aries. And the 4th house is all about reading from the past, all the mystics from the past, reading about their experiences.
Oh, definitely was like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And trying to get emotionally motivated to follow a spiritual path. That's the beginning of the truth trine, this is what I'm writing a book about. But,
oh, no, I know you're talking about, right. Like the moon, the 4th, the stories, the emotional bond and connection to that.
Right. The past,
yeah, that was big.
All the tales from the past that we learn from that inspire us. That's the 4th house. So that's kind of where your fortune.
No, that was very big for me.
And then the ruler of that Sham is in your 1st house, your body. So,
oh, and it's also 4th house is vehicle. So it's also showing a high exalted action with a vehicle.
Right. That as well. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So now I want to look at Venus. Oh, look, Venus has 15 Harsha points. So that's showing, so that's also speaking to me. I was like, I was just a young kid, but like, it was really, skating was my life. You know what I mean? And skating is vehicles and conveyances. And I remember one day in the city when I was there, I did skate like 15 miles or something, like a really high amount. So I could see that Venus and the high strength there. You know what I mean? Or the 15 Harsha points at least. Like that's all I cared about at that time. And then I made a choice at some point in that time of the year.
Yeah, there's if you have a 15, that means you were enthusiastic during this year. You have a lot more planets that are high in Harsha than are low in Harsha. So it does mean that you were really enthusiastic.
And like you were kind of saying, like Venus is exalted, Mars is exalted, and Jupiter was in its own sign. So that's showing a high year of, or like you were saying, if you just see a lot of planets that are exalted and kind of like have those high points, you can see this is an important year for you, right?
Yes, definitely.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
High points, and if planets are exalted in this chart or in any of the Vargas, like in the Navamsha, if they're exalted in the Drekana, that'll all show, over here in these divisional charts here. If a planet's in its own Hada,
right,
it's also really strong. That makes the planet a lot stronger.
Yeah, I have not. I haven't examined that stuff enough yet, probably.
Yeah.
What do you? I guess maybe the Drekana, since it was a big thing where I was kind of expressing and talking on Good Morning America, we might see the Drekana is strong. It looks like Mars is in its own Drekana too, isn't it?
Yep. Mars is in its own Trirashi, its own Drekana. Yeah, so it's strong. Very strong. Let me see number 40 here. So Mars is in Virgo, but
Oh, Jupiter's in good. Jupiter.
Yeah, Jupiter is a really strong planet. So luck, you
Yeah.
know, luck pushed you forward, and Jupiter is, higher learning and higher knowledge, astrology.
Yeah, I mean, my path really unfolded in a ninth house sort of way that year. It was really fortunate.
Yeah. Yeah, it's looks like a great year for you, this
Okay,
year.
well, I wish I could live it again. Anyways, cool. Well, all right. Thank you so much, Laura.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. So yeah, this has been really fun having you on. And I just got to tell all the viewers who are watching this, thank you for listening. And I hope you guys check out her course and are interested in solar returns now and all that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have anything else to add?
Oh, just, visit my website. It's at laurabaratastrologer.com. And I'm actually making another course about the moksha houses. So that'll be up soon. And yeah, I'm just always adding.
You guys. Yeah, sorry, I forgot. I should have plugged that too, because she has a great YouTube channel. She's been doing a couple series on houses and different things right now. And
yes.
And yeah, what else do you have going on right now?
I'm writing this course called The Truth Trine. I'm writing about the moksha houses.
Nice.
And all of the different planets in those moksha houses.
Nice.
And how they manifest, and I go through conjunctions and planets and signs.
Wow.
So
okay.
I get really detailed with it, and I talk about how important this trine is to people like us, people who are spiritual seekers. We're involved with this kind of community, so you have a lot of people seeking in this way. Yeah. And this is really shows the developmental stages of being on a spiritual path.
And this is the 4th, 8th, and 12th houses for the viewers, right? This is the moksha houses, and they're kind of, you can relate that because the water signs are the moksha signs. It's like the 4th, 8th, and 12th are like the water signs. Yeah.
Yeah, the water houses.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And then I just want to plug in really quick that I'm doing a past life astrology course that I developed, how, to see past lives, the manner of death in our past lives.
Oh.
If you have a partner and you want to see the past life connection with that person, I developed a system to show exactly who that person was and what their karma is in your life. So,
yeah. I could see that making sense, like knowing your chart and stuff. I could see you being able to do, or you studying that and going in depth in that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's really an epiphany. It was like a vision. It came to me so easily.
And there's a lot of stuff we could do with that. So that's cool that you're getting so specific in your areas of research and everything.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Cool. All right. Well, yeah, thanks you guys for watching, and yeah, check out Laura's stuff, and yeah, hope you guys have a good one.
Okay. See you later. Bye.
Thanks, Laura.